What's up there, Metal Summoners? It is so great to hang with you guys as always. It is Wednesday night. This is your Island of Misfit Toys, and we are super stoked to see you as always. Myself and Angel and all the amazing artists that we get to talk to. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with us and showing so much love and support to the artists. You know, by supporting this show, you're supporting them out on tour, putting out new music, and maybe even a flight to Norway, but we may or may not cover that depending on how it's necessary. But of course, Metal Summoners, Angel and I really appreciate you. On behalf of our man behind the scenes, Psycho Steve, as well, we really appreciate you guys rocking out, and we're going to have a good time tonight. It's going to be great times. Myself and Angel, we're going to welcome in our good friend, Colin Burgeson. Thank you so much, my friend. Welcome to the Metal Summit. It is a pleasure to have you this evening.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Of course. And first and foremost, man, it's about a month out, man. But I mean, congratulations are in order, man. From Sunshine into Shadow, it's out. It's released on the world. Again, congratulations are in order. But again, my friend, it's always got to be great to have new music out for the fans to enjoy, let alone a debut album to really get things going for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. It's exciting to have it out. I'm glad it's out there for everyone to listen to, for sure.
Absolutely, man, for sure. And before we start to kind of pick your brain a little bit about like different songs and kind of like stylistic thoughts that you had when putting it together, just talk a little bit about the creation of the album, like, putting it together. How long did it take as you were putting it together leading up to release?
Well, I guess so. From the actual recording process, from when we first got in the studio, hit the first recording button, up until the release was about 2 years from the studio time to release. But I mean, a lot of these songs on the record go back years, some decades. So I've had some of these songs for just sitting and just waiting to do something with, and finally I just found the time and the resources and sat down and just put them all together. So it's been a very long process.
Absolutely. No, I can definitely imagine on that. When it comes to how you're putting the songs together, Angel and I often bounce this question kind of off of each other and towards the guests, of course, as well. When it comes to like writing music, especially as a solo artist, like how do you find that putting together songs works best for you? What is it, melody driven, whether it be with a guitar, or do you already have a specific idea for maybe lyrics for a song? Or sometimes do you get a title in mind that is like, I like this title and I think I can play off of that?
A little bit, I guess a little bit of all of that. It kind of depends on the situation. My songwriting process is so sporadic. It usually starts with for the most part, it starts with the riff, something I'll be doing. I'll just be practicing doing something completely different, and I'll stumble across a riff or a melody line or something like that, and I'll kind of put a song to it. Then a lot of the times I'll put the song away for weeks, months, sometimes years, and I'll eventually stumble back across it after a while. And usually it changes. I'll usually scrap most of the song and just but I like certain pieces of it. And then I'll end up kind of building it from there. Usually lyrics and title are usually sometimes when I'm writing lyrics, I'll start with a title, and that kind of gives me a launch point of kind of what I want to write about. But it's a sporadic, multi-stage process that sometimes takes, a lot of writing, a lot of rewriting, and a lot of, just melding together after, indeterminate amount of time. So it's a pretty sporadic process for me. Very rarely do I ever just sit down and say, "Hey, I'm going to write a song today," and that happens. It just doesn't really happen for me, I guess.
For sure, man. No problem. When it comes to the actual title of the record itself, I definitely did want to ask you about this because I think it's great.
Mm.
Like, like from Sunshine and Shadow, like I mean, that's very much in up my alley, both like lyrically, but also like title wise. I have like more of like a darker aesthetic, more like a gothy kind of style in my own right. So like wordplay like that is very like something that I'll perk my ears up to. So I definitely wanted to ask you about the title of your record and where your head was at when you thought that's the title for my record and that's the title I want.
So the funny thing, this is a one of my favorite stories. So the title sounds, super, fairly meaningful and has but I heard it from I wasn't really in a state of mind. I heard it from a football game, actually.
Nice.
I was yeah, I was sitting in I was working with my producer one day. This was years ago. And we were working on a completely different project together, and we were just sitting. I was just sitting next to him. We were just going over mixes and stuff, and it was a Sunday afternoon, so there was a football game on, just kind of in the background, just some white noise kind of thing. Um, and I glanced over, and it's a middle of the afternoon, so the field was half of it was in the sun, and half was shaded. And there was a play going on, and I heard the announcer say, "Oh, the quarterback throws the ball from sunshine into shadow," and I just thought, "I'm keeping that."
Nice.
And yeah, it just kind of it kind of stuck for me with me. I knew I wanted to use that as an album title for something. I had it. I didn't really wasn't really sure what at that time, but I just kept it, kept it in the back of my mind, and eventually decided to use it for this record. So there's no, no super deep meaning behind the album title. Just something I heard and caught my attention. It was like, hey, that's really cool. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, man. No, absolutely. And one of the things that's always like really interesting to myself and Angel, when we get to talk to artists is especially with like nowadays where, with all of us and the way that the music business was when we were growing up is definitely not the same as how it is now as we're adults. And the thing I find very, very interesting again, with so many streaming services and different platforms and just a different way to put music out nowadays, when it came to yourself and your own music, did you find that you were a full album kind of guy, or do you also have interest you know, should it have like the opportunities to put out individual singles or maybe smaller EPs to keep fresh music out to your fans, or do you like the full product release?
Um, I love the full product release. I'm an album guy. I love full
That
length
that
albums. I
is the
love
right answer.
yes, absolutely. I'm a little old school like that. I love LPs. I love full length albums. And I knew I wanted to make a full length LP for this record. And that's what I like to do. What I like to listen to. And but yeah, I understand the times have definitely changed from that. So yeah, I will most likely do. I'll most likely going forward. I'll probably release a few, probably a couple of singles, maybe an EP before I do another full length. Um, which I've done. I've done EPs and put out some singles with other bands in the past. But yeah, I mean, I love LPs, love full albums. So that's just what I wanted to do for this time around.
Absolutely, man. 100%. Angel, my good man, it's all you.
Hey, I mean, just want to thank you so much for coming on. Um,
Thank you.
Definitely, can we call Richie Kotzen Adrian Smith Blues Band?
Yeah, absolutely, we can.
So, if that's the case, definitely the best blues album I've heard in 5 years. Um,
Oh, thank you.
but okay, this is like first time, one of the first times we have a blues guitarist. But what I love about that record is the emotion. I do miss that. I do miss, like I was listening to Forever, I listened to some of the lyrics and I'm like, I'm thinking it's a love song, I'll love you forever kind of thing. Then I'm listening to the lyrics and I'm like, wait a minute, it's not about that. So I kind of went back and listened to the song again because it kind of caught me lyrically just on some of the stuff. And I'm like, this song reminds me of my mom because, I wish she was there till the end. And I hope she'll definitely see me on the other side. So it was
Mhm.
just a very emotional song. And I'm like, I miss that. I love songs that you can listen to and really make you stop in your tracks and make you feel an emotion, whether it's the emotion of love, lost, or whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. I love that too. I think, it's, well, like you said, especially with blues music, it's a very emotional style, and I love having the songs. And same thing with what I listen to. I love songs that make me feel something. Like you said, stopping your tracks and just listen and feel what's actually being portrayed. That's what I like to. I love to put that in my own music. So, and yeah, Forever's a great example. It's really a lot about loss. So there's definitely a lot of emotion tied to that song.
And what an awesome song! And I'm glad that you made an album because it would suck for you to have made an EP and have some of these songs not see the light of day at this moment because a song like that, like it's a very powerful song where I had to go back and listen to it again. And normally when I'm listening to new music, I listen to it from start to finish, but this is with just the one song that kind of stopped me about a third of the way through it, where I'm like, I gotta go back and listen to that lyric again. Did he really sing that? And I mean that in a good way, that
Sure. Yeah.
it's a song that is just that has that emotion, and I miss that about songs in general. Uh, just want to talk about your background. Did you? Your father was a guitar player,
Mhm.
um, and did you get to tour with him? Anything that you got from him as a musician growing up?
Never never got to tour with him. But I mean, he's been a career musician his entire career. I grew up around. He did that for a living when I was growing up. He toured with Foghat for a couple years in the 80s. This is before I was born, but yeah, he was always going out and he was gigging. That's what he did, full time for a while when I was a kid. And yeah, so I definitely, I took a lot from my dad. He's the one that, initially taught me to play guitar. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty much where it started. And I took a lot from my dad for sure.
And one of the things I mentioned earlier. Oh, the song. Um, darn it. Broken Melody. There's a
Mhm.
part in that middle part where I'm listening to it and I'm like, this sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan. And then on that next song, Running from the Blues, it was like full on.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's a very yeah, I took a lot from Stevie for that song. I can definitely thank him for. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan's one of my biggest guitar influences, and I mean, and he is for almost every guitar player out there, I would say. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of Stevie in that song, for sure, which I think is can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with
No,
Stevie
and
for sure.
to me, it blows me away because Stevie Ray Vaughan has been gone since 1990,
Mhm.
36 years now. And how amazing that a young guitar player is knows Stevie Ray Vaughan, is influenced by him. And you hear that in his playing. It's just a really amazing thing on how music just kind of carries on generation to generation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Stevie was just he was an icon, and he was so influential for not for just his time, but he's his style and and he was just an influence for, like I said, pretty much almost every guitar player out there. I feel has some sort of influence from Stevie. So yeah, it's he's definitely his playing and music has definitely stood the test of time, and I think it'll I don't think that's ever going to go away for sure.
But man, kudos, because I was just listening to it. I don't remember. I mean, I hate to say this, but I don't remember a time when. I mean, just with all the music we've listened to, I have not heard a blues song like that, and that's a great thing because to know that there's still blues guitarists out there. Because when we think about blues, we still think about Tom Kiefer from Cinderella. So it's good that we still have young up and coming artists that are still playing that style of music, because it's to me, blues, I mean, it's an emotion to me. Like you listen
For
to
sure.
like you've listened to it, Cinderella, listen to your songs, and it creates like a big emotion. Be able to listen to a song like Forever and just kind of reflect and just think about my mom again. It's just kind of blows me away that, like, wow, music still does that to you. Because when you're a
Yeah,
kid, you're listening to music, but now it's, how can I say it? Damn, I'm speechless. That's how great of an album it is. It has me really speechless.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's that's what I'm going for. I'm glad I could do that.
You definitely nailed it.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. I love it.
Um, so growing up in Idaho, just curious to know, what is it like growing up there, and how is the music scene?
It's growing up. It was I grew up in Coeur d'Alene, and it was at least when I was a kid growing up, it was a pretty small town. It's definitely grown quite a bit since I was a kid. But as far as there isn't really much of as far as big touring acts don't really. There's not a lot of places up in North Idaho for big touring acts to come through. We used to have the Greyhound Park in Post Falls used to put on a lot of some big concerts during the summertime. But yeah, at least not in North Idaho. A lot of the big touring acts don't really come through. They usually come out into usually have to go to Spokane to see the bigger acts that come through. But I mean, it's kind of a small. As far as the local scene, it's kind of a smaller scene, but it's a little more tight knit, little closer, a lot more camaraderie. So it's a pretty tight knit community for sure. I think it's always been like that around here.
That's the other thing that I love, that you're not somebody from, let's say, New York City or LA, but from Idaho. I'm like, it's good that there's bands everywhere, and that's what we all want to see.
For sure. Yeah, we're us musicians are all over the place.
Um, as far as playing live shows, any plans um, for doing live shows?
Yeah, we're looking into. I play with a rock cover band called Lake Town Sound, and we play a lot in here in the Pacific Northwest between here in Washington, just around the area. So I'll be performing quite a bit with them this year, and I'm looking into some performances doing my solo work. We'll be playing in Wallace, Idaho on July 10th. We do have a performance set up, but so yeah, we're looking into some more stuff. I'll be doing a lot of work, primarily work with Lake Town Sound this summer for sure, though.
Cool. Jay, we kick it right back up to you.
Absolutely, brother, for sure. So yeah, Colin, a couple of songs that I definitely wanted to pick your brain a little bit about as well, that we talked about momentarily off the air as well. But as I definitely wanted to hear your thoughts on designs on Darkest Days and Witching Hour. I mean, those are two of the songs off your record that definitely spoke to me. I mean, those things are jams, dude. They're killer.
Thank you. Yeah, Darkest Days was that's fairly old song, at least when it started. I started writing that probably in 2018, give or take. And that was back when I first started writing it. I was listening to a lot of prog rock
Mhm.
at the time, a lot of Rush, Dream Theater, all that kind of stuff. So it started off as this very technical, almost prog rock kind of guitar song. Changing time signatures, kind of all over the place. When I started recording this, putting the songs together for this record, it was a song I really loved, but at the time it just didn't fit what I was trying to put together, so I kind of had to go back and kind of rework it. I ended up just kind of changing it around and making it a little just more of a straight driving rock song, and I got it to kind of gel with the rest of the songs, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's still one of my favorite songs off the record for sure.
Nice. Hell yeah, brother, for sure. Chuck on YouTube. We see you, brother. Thank you so much for supporting the show and hanging out with us and showing Colin love, man. So we definitely see you, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, Colin, and a little bit about Witching Hour, my friend.
Witching Hour was that was one of the newer songs, and when I was talking about earlier how my songwriting process was pretty sporadic for the most part, it was a little different on this one. This one just kind of came out, and I kind of almost wrote it in one fell swoop. I just this one took a lot of, another one that, took a lot of influence from Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I just kind of, one day I just kind of found that main riff and just kind of built it up, and that song kind of wrote itself in just a day or two. The lyrics I kind of came up with. I always liked I came up with the title first. One of the few songs where I had a subject matter in mind for the lyrics. I had the title, and I kind of wrote it about that theme. So yeah, that was a pretty one of the very few songs that was pretty straightforward and just kind of came out how it began, and it didn't really go through a bunch of changes. But yeah, I love that song. It's probably the most fun guitar song on the record for sure.
Absolutely, brother, for sure. When it comes to like your solo music and of course continuing to get it out to the masses and to new fans as well as old fans, what are like your thoughts of like wanting to or plans to maybe put out like music videos? So like, your album's out, it's accessible on multiple platforms, like YouTube and like iTunes and like a bunch of other streaming platforms. Have you put any thought into picking certain songs as, for lack of a better term, singles that you would want to maybe put a video behind, considering you are still busy with the other bands you play in?
Yes, actually, we did I did a group of songs, did some video for a group of songs a few months back. I actually just released the video for Darkest Days. If you go to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, you can find the link to it. Yep. So I just put that one out a couple days ago, and I did 3 other ones off of the record, which I'll be releasing on their own as well. So yep, we got videos coming out. So keep an eye out for those. One's already ready to go. So go check it out.
Hell yeah, absolutely. And also when it comes to, of course, getting personal time as well, you mentioned off the air, like, just getting to take a little bit of time for yourself and getting to see some family. And of course, based on your comfort level with how you like to discuss any type of personal matters, because we always want to be, of course, very respectful of you. You did mention, just kind of getting out and off the grid a little bit to spend some time with family. So that's got to feel pretty good to be able to just kind of get away, decompress, and spend time with your loved ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got like we talked about off the air, I got a trip coming up next month, that I'm super excited for. Like just for those reasons, just to unwind and do some things I've never done before. As much as I love music and everything like that, it'd be nice to put it away for for a week and just kind of decompress and just focus on other things, and then when I get back, we'll just hit the ground running once again. But yeah, like you said, it's sometimes it's just nice to do something that just gets your mind completely off. everyday stuff. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Colin, for sure, brother. And before I kick it back up to Angel and let him take away for the next segment, when it comes to future music, how do you find yourself a constant writer? Of course, this album is very new, very fresh, and we want everybody to hear it and hear it in the most positive ways at nauseum, and just fill their ears up with all of your new music. But do you find yourself like a constant writer where you're always kind of thinking about new music in the future?
I mean, it's always on my mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's during the recording process of this record, I mean, I've been, songwriters never really, stop writing. So I've written some more material that I have stashed away and ready for the next release. Whether it be, I haven't decided whether it's going to be singles or an EP or another full-length album. I have yet to make that decision, but yeah, I don't write all the time. Like I haven't really sat down and wrote music in quite a while. It's been a bit. Like I said before, my process is very, very sporadic. It usually inspiration just kind of strikes when I'm not really looking for it. I've never really been one to just sit down and say, hey, I'm gonna write music today. I have in the past, but it's very rarely when that happens. But yeah, it's always on the back of my mind. And there will be, eventually there will be, I'll definitely release some new music and new songs in the future for sure. It's gonna, it'll happen eventually. No time frame. I'm not exactly sure how or what it's gonna look like, but it'll happen. It'll definitely happen for sure.
Absolutely, for sure. And one more question in my segment before I kick it up to Angel. But Chuck, I see this question. Are you able to play any music clips from the artists you interview? Yes, we should be able to do that, but that's also something that Angel and I need to look into as well, because YouTube in particular is very finicky about music played on shows, and whether or not there's clearance, even if it's music being played by the artist like Colin that we're talking to right now. YouTube doesn't necessarily know that right that second, and they tend to be very quick to mute. So, Chuck, thank you for that. We really appreciate that, brother. Angel and I will definitely look into that. If the artist is playing live during the interview, that's never a problem. But as far as playing copyrighted music during an interview, that's something that Angel and I actually kind of need to do a little bit of research on to make sure that like the artist and the show isn't muted or deleted because YouTube is unsure if we're playing copyrighted material. But Chuck, thank you so much, brother. One question that we wanted to ask you, Colin, on behalf of our man behind the scenes, Psycho Steve, because he's always a big fan of this question, and it also leads into the fact that Angel and I are also gear guys and love to talk a little bit about musical equipment. Is Steve loves to ask, what was your first? Do you remember your first guitar, and do you still have it? And then the follow-up to that is, what is your rig rundown? What do you play live?
So, my first guitar, I don't know if you guys will even know what this brand is. It's called a Samick. It was like a Greg Bennett Samick guitar or something like that. It's been so long. Yeah, that was my first guitar. It was a kind of it was an off-market electric guitar. No, I don't still have it. I sold it several years ago as an upgraded and got different stuff. So no, I don't still have that. My current rig rundown, I use primarily Paul Smith guitars and Mesa Boogie amplifier.
Nice.
Yep, I recorded the record off of I actually use a couple different guitars on the record. I recorded it all on the amp was a Mesa Boogie California Tweed was what the amp that I used, and then I used a couple PRS guitars and then a couple of my Fenders to record the record. So primarily Parley Smith and Fenders as well.
Very cool, man. Are you a Paul Reed Smith endorsed artist at the moment, or is it just a guitar that a brand that you're very comfortable with? And if not, what can Angel and I do to help, if anything?
Well, I'm not an endorsed Paul Reed Smith artist yet. I would love to be. If Paul Reed Smith is listening, hey, hit me up. I'm right here. I'm ready. Let's go.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I've ever since I first started, playing when I was a teenager, and Paul Reed Smiths were always I always loved playing them, but they were always, frankly, they were always, when I was first growing up and starting out, they were just too expensive.
Mhm. Sure.
But I finally was able to save up some money, and I was able to get my hands on a few, and they're always going to be my favorite. I don't think I'll ever look back. So, but
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. They're definitely great. I was a few friends of mine that play them. Also, just a couple of artists that I'm a big fan of. Like I'm very, I'm very fond of Orianthi. If you're familiar with her, she's
oh, absolutely, yeah.
done stuff, of course, with Richie Sambora when they were working together. But also, of course, she was the late Michael Jackson's, one of his final guitars for when he was going to do his farewell tour. But I think she's great. I know that she is a PRS person, and also, like, Alex Grossi, who Angel and I have talked to in Quiet Riot, is a PRS guy as well. And
Yep.
And also Paul Reed Smith does so much stuff down here in Maryland as well, that he's definitely always around when it comes to that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, some of my favorite guitarists, use that. That's what they use. So Mark Tremonti, Carlos Santana,
Yeah.
some of my favorite guitarists use that brand, and so that's one of the reasons I was drawn to it.
Well, absolutely, for sure, man. Angel, let me kick it up to you for this next segment there, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your personal top 5 or top 10 guitarists?
Guitarists? Oh boy. Oh boy, that's a so for top 5, not in any particular order. I would say Eric Johnson, John Petrucci, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Joe Bonamassa, and Mark Tremonti. I'd say those are top 5. I mean, the list could go on and on and on for sure, but yeah, not any particular order, but I'd say those are my top 5.
Nice.
And are there any? One of the cool thing is how Jay has his favorites, which is different from mine. So I think it's really awesome that everyone has like their own favorites. But my question is, are there any songs on the album that went through a lot of changes, like let's say rewrites or chord changes or anything of that nature?
Well, it'd be probably quicker and easier to tell you which ones didn't go through rewrites and changes.
Oh, wow.
I think all of those songs, except for maybe Witching Hour, that was the only one that was really kind of played, that was really didn't really go through a lot of changes between when I first started writing it and when I recorded it. And I guess Windows to the Soul was one, and that was the only one off the record I didn't write. That was written by Mark Hedstrom. So that one I kind of tweaked a little when my producer presented me the song. I kind of tweaked it a little bit, but that one kind of pretty much stayed the same. But yeah, most of the songs off the record went through weeks and years, and sometimes rewrites over weeks and years and even longer. Like for example, when I did Running from the Blues, I basically rewrote the entire lyrics the day before and the day of the recording of that song. So yeah, there's a lot of changes. It took a long time for those songs to really come out the way that they ended up on the record.
Did you save, I guess, the alternate version or like were you able to record like both versions of that song?
Which song?
The one that you said that changed the lyrics.
Oh no, no. How that we didn't? I didn't record a different version, the original version of that one. What kind of happened with that one is I had lyrics written, and I was getting ready to go track the vocals the next day, and I was just sitting at home, practicing and just kind of getting them ready. I just kind of as I was singing them to myself, I just eventually just looked at myself and said, "Wow, these are terrible. These suck." So I basically just ripped out the page and just started from scratch the day before, and then I took it into the studio. Then my producer helped me kind of polish it up a little bit. So yeah, it was that one was just kind of a spur of the moment. I just looked at the lyrics like these are not good. I don't feel I don't like these. I don't feel like they're something a product I want to put out. So I just tore the page up and started over.
Wow, that's a first that I've heard. That's a story like that. And like I said, we're fans of music, so we love hearing the creative process with making an album and songs. So here's a fun question from me. After the album was mastered, at any point did you go to sleep at night thinking, I should have changed this or that in a song?
Every minute of every day.
Everybody said
Even currently. I mean, that's the thing with and I feel like I speak for most musicians out there.
Yeah.
We're never, when we record and put out our own music, we're never 100% satisfied. There, listening back, there's always something that I would say, hey, I wish I would have done this part differently, or I wish I would have, or that's a little weak. I wish I would have tightened that up a little bit, or something comes to you about the songwriting that after the fact, like, oh, that would have been a great idea. I would have loved to do that. But I mean, yeah, it's I don't think I'm ever anything I've recorded or put out. I don't think I've ever been 100% satisfied with. There's always something I would probably want to go back and maybe retry, but at some point I just got to look at the song like, okay, that's good. What my producer always tells me is like when we're going through changes, like, are we when we're doing these changes, are we making it better or are we just changing it? So
that's a good.
Sometimes you just got to look at the song.
No, I mean that's a good question and a good perspective. Are you changing it for the hell of it, or is it sounding better because of the change?
Yeah, and sometimes it's it can go either way. Sometimes you're making it for the changing or made for the better. Sometimes it's like, and are we just changing it just for the sake of changing it? And and we could do that all day long. But.
No, that's a great thing to hear too, and a great perspective, Colin, as well for Angel and I to think about as well. Because one of the best quotes that he and I ever got from an artist when we were talking to them about their record is the way that they said it, and I've never forgotten it since, is they were like, the fact of the matter is no artist ever finishes a song. They abandon it because they're just gonna keep going.
Yes, that's 100% true.
Ever since that was spoken, Angel and I kind of looked at each other and we were like, that quote might make it into every show or almost every show for the rest of our career, because we thought that was such an amazing way to look at it, where you talk all the time about when is a song finished, when do you feel a song is done, and that was the first time we ever heard an artist actually say back to us, well, it's done when an artist abandons it because they know they're not going to stop changing things or fixing things or wanting to change or fix things.
Oh, it's 100% true. Yeah, it's the song's done when you finally just say, hey, we're done. We could, anything we've, have ever done, I could go, I could keep working on it for, forever and keep going through and changing things, but finally just got to look at the song and say, okay, done, put it away, print it, And then otherwise we'll just, you'll keep going and we can keep going in circles. And like I, said before, is like, are we making it better by doing this, or are we just changing it?
Yeah.
It's not always, I actually read a quote of, just earlier today. I read a quote from Eric Johnson, fantastic guitar player. And, and he was saying, just because you can, try to make something perfect, but just because it's perfect, does that necessarily mean it's better? Which, not necessarily. So, but.
Absolutely, man, for sure. And Metal Summoners, just to give you guys a heads up, Colin's been very, very gracious with his time. We're going to rock out with him for a little bit longer, but it is going to be last call for alcohol. Chuck, Lisa, we see you guys in the comments. We really, really appreciate you guys kicking it and hanging and supporting Colin on his episode this evening. So if there's anything that you want to ask him, of course, don't be shy. Feel free to pop into the comments so Angel sees it. But it is that time there, Metal Summoners. Any final questions, if any comments or questions you want to ask, now's the time to get it done. It is last call for alcohol. Now, Colin, before we let you go, is, we talked a little bit earlier about, plans for this year, but outside of playing with your other band and your gigs that you're planning with your solo band, and of course, your personal getaway that you have mentioned about, overall, is there anything particular when it comes to 2026, since we are still relatively new in the year, that you really are trying to focus on, whether it be with the record itself or just getting yourself out more? Do you have a personal goal or plan for this year?
Yeah, I'd say at this point, I would say I'm just trying to. I want to get this record, in front of as many people as I can. I want, as many people as I can to hear it, whether that be through, playing shows or shows like this, or just basic internet traction. But yeah, I just want to get this out there to as many people as I can, and just to get it heard, and hopefully people find something to enjoy about it. And other than that, as far as the rest of the year, like I said, I got my my vacation coming up, but it's going to be after that. I'm going to hit the ground running with music. It's going to be my band stays very busy throughout the summer. We're gigging and playing almost every weekend. So it's going to be a busy. I'm looking forward to another busy year. So just gonna focus on doing some great shows, having a lot of fun doing it, and in the meantime, just getting this record out to anybody I can, anyone that'll listen to it.
Absolutely, for sure. How did your relationship with Pavement come about?
So it started a few years back. My previous band was a band called Sidium. And I first started working with them. They did a single promo off of our first album, and then that partnership continued. We started working on. They were going to handle the distribution for our second record, so we started working on that and recording that. That was eventually abandoned. The band went through some internal issues, and we ended up going our separate ways. But I still had the contact with Pavement and the agreement in place, and I just said, hey, and I went to them a little later on and said, hey, I have this record that I'm working on. How would you feel about putting that one out instead? And they were on board. So that's where we're at. So they've been good to work with. All the guys over there have been real great to work with, for sure.
Oh, it's awesome, man, for sure. And who are some talk also a little bit before I kick it up to Angel and we take it around one more time. Talk a little bit about your influences when it comes to music. We talked about guitar influences and how much there's so much Stevie Ray Vaughan in your work, as well as your other guitarist influences. But what are some of your earliest influences of music that you got turned on to, just as a fan and growing up with music? You had mentioned your dad touring with Foghat. But do you have any personal bands or albums that you remember really getting into, that shaped you, outside of, Dream Theater and that kind of prog environment?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it all started with dad. Growing up, my dad was a musician, so I would listen to him play and listen to his stuff all the time. And we were when I was first as a kid growing up, we listened to a lot of the Eagles.
Nice.
Growing up, I still do. Still one of my favorite bands. Um, I think the moment, the time when I realized like, hey, I want to be a musician and be in a band was when I first started listening to Creed.
Cool.
Buddy of mine introduced me to him, and I just, something about him. I always, Mark Tremonti has always been one of my favorites, biggest influences, guitar and, just as a guitar player and a musician. But yeah, I started listening to Creed a lot, and I just looked at it and goes, hey, that's what I want to do. I want to be in, I want to play music and be in a band. And yeah, over the years, my um, musical tastes have definitely shifted quite a bit. Um, I was a big, I was a big metalhead for a long time. I played in, I played in heavy metal bands and some thrash metal bands. It was one of my first bands was a thrash metal band. But yeah, and then it kind of, I played that and heavy metal and hard rock for a long time. And then I just kind of shifted again when I started playing, listening to a lot of blues and blues rock, and I started playing that. So yeah, it was a very it's quite the progression, quite the evolution for sure, I'd say.
Absolutely, for sure. What do you like? What do you think of Mark's solo band, his Tremonti band? Like, I really dig it
Oh, I
personally.
love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. I saw him on. I saw them once when he was first starting out. He had just released his first record, and I was able to catch him in Spokane. But yeah, I love his solo. Everything that guy touches is solid
Mhm.
gold in my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't think he can do no wrong. I mean, even him singing, Frank Sinatra songs is just, he's like, I mean, can this guy do anything bad? Like, I don't think so.
No, no, definitely not. I'm definitely with you on that one. Yeah, I saw the Tremonti band play at a place in Baltimore called Nevermore Hall back when it was called Ram's Head, and I'm trying to remember offhand. It wasn't a headlining band. It was an opening act. I want to say it was something like Pop Evil or Trivium or something, but they're so great. Like, I mean, Mark is just absolutely amazing, and he and the band came over to merch, and so it was so awesome to get to meet him, and they signed my little poster and stuff like that, and I was like, dude, this is so cool. I mean, this is Mark Tremonti. I was like, the dude's seen, he's playing this little personal club in Baltimore, but this dude has played like stadiums and like these
Mhm.
massive venues, but I'm like 6 inches from this dude across the table, like in a little club. Like, I mean, that's just a cool thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's great. It's an awesome guitar player, great music. He's, I got to meet him, at that show I was at, and
Nice.
just overall, just a nice guy, super cool guy for sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he can do no wrong.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
I,
Absolutely, my friend. Right. Yeah. Right up to you, Angel, my friend. Why don't you kick it up to you, and we'll take it around the table one more time.
no, I just
Cool,
wonder
cool.
how does Mark sleep because you tour with Creed, then you're writing, touring with Walter Bridge, then you're touring writing with your solo band, and then you're doing the Frank Sinatra thing. And you're like, damn, whatever coffee he drinks, I gotta drink.
I'm guessing he doesn't sleep much. I'm guessing sleep just isn't a part of his daily routine. But hey, more power to him.
Because when you're dead, you got all the time in the world to catch up on sleep.
Oh yeah, exactly. He's got stuff to do. He doesn't have time for that right now.
And you know what? I love this question from Brian. And Brian, to me, the song that means the most to me will be forever. I think because of Mother's Day coming up next month. That song that you wrote means to me personally. But what song that you've written means the most to you personally?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I mean, all of them. I mean, all the songs are deep. I feel like all the songs are pretty deeply personal, in one way or the other. As far as one specific song that I've written that means the most, it's hard to say. Mostly because I don't typically write. Um, I don't typically write about a subject in particular. Um, a lot of the times when it comes to writing lyrics and stuff like that, I'll usually the words will come out and they'll come out on paper, and I'll find a meaning. Um, I'll try to put the meaning in it afterwards. Um, but yeah, and then there's a lot of, and especially on this record, there's a lot of. I feel like the meanings are more. Um, I wrote about them, but more subconsciously, I guess, for lack of a better term. There wasn't anything that I wrote about specifically, at least some of the deeply personal stuff, that I didn't really write specifically about that at the time. But looking back and listening to them and kind of listening to what I wrote, I can hear there's definitely some personal, things in there and themes in there as well. So the answer to that question, I'm sorry, Brian, I don't really have a specific answer to that question. I hope that was a okay enough answer. But as far as one specific song, I can't really say for sure. So I hope that answered your question, Brian.
Well, Brian, Angel likes Forever, and I like Witching Hour. So go check out those two songs.
My personal favorite off the record is Blue Broken Heart. So, so Brian, go check that one out as well.
Yeah, I would definitely check out the record because what I love about the record is it's one of those albums that it has to be an album because I remember an artist once said, an album is like a journey. The first song means something, it kind of takes you through the journey all the way till the end, and that's what I love about that album from start to finish. I just love the way you finished that album. I was
Thank
like,
you.
wow,
Thank you.
that song was like, it's the best final song to have on a record because once that it sticks in your mind, sticks in your heart, that you remember. I know I keep talking about that song, but hey, that's my favorite right now. Next week it'll probably change after I listen to more of the album, but for right now, I'm stuck on Forever.
That one was always going to be the closer. It just seemed like a good way to close out the record. And that was always the plan. Yeah. That song that's another one of those songs that I went through a lot of different changes. There's actually, I'll have to see if I don't know if I have, I think my producer might still have it, but there is actually a original version of that song that's not completely different than the record, but it's fairly different. I started writing that one. We recorded a different version of that one before it ended up on this record. So there is a different version out there. I'll have to see if I can find it. I don't know if I have it anymore. I think my producer does though. I'm sure I can find it somewhere.
You could add it on the anniversary edition in 10 years. The 10-year anniversary.
I was actually kind of something I've been batting around was kind of maybe releasing it as like a Forever Part 2 on a different release. It's definitely similar enough to where you'll be able to tell, it's the same song, but I feel like the version is different enough to I think it can probably stand on its own as a release and not be and still kind of do its own thing. So that might happen. I may end up releasing that version a little bit down the line. So keep an eye out for that. I just might do that. I've been batting around that idea, so we'll see.
Nice.
Jay, back to you to close it out.
Absolutely, no problem. Well, look, we did get a pop-up here from Brian because he does love this question, Colin. So we're going to hit you with a fun one here to close you out. And he would like to know what's the closest you've come to death.
Closest I've come to death. Oh boy. Thankfully, I've avoided near-death experiences in my life so far. Knock on wood. I don't know. Actually, this would probably be, I think what I can think of, and actually it's probably a better question for my mom. I had I remember I know I was in the hospital. I had pneumonia when I was 2. Um, I don't know exactly how close that. I don't know if that was super close. I'd have to ask my mom about that question, but that probably would be the closest I would say. Um, I mean, I've been with my buddies and we've jumped, his SUV in the woods and almost flipped it over a few times, but that was just fun though. So yeah.
That's just
So
boys
yeah, I'm not
being
sure.
boys.
I'm not what's
That's just
that?
that's just boys being boys.
That's just kids being kids, dumb teenagers doing stupid stuff, but it was always a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, brother. Nah, no worries, man. Absolutely. Brian, appreciate you, brother. We love you. Lisa, Chuck, thank you so much, guys. We always appreciate you guys getting down every week. You guys just kick ass. Thank you for
Guys, thank
showing
you for your
so
questions.
much love and rocking out. Colin, man, thank you so much, brother. We really appreciate you giving us some time this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. The thing that's always the most important to myself and Angel is that, you enjoyed your time on the show this evening. You felt respected. You liked the questions that were asked, and you felt that even in any little way, shape, or form, your time on the show this evening could benefit your continued success with your record.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. Loved being on here. Thank you guys so much for having me. Yeah, it was had a great time. Great time talking to you guys. Yeah, questions were all great. Thank you for everyone in the comments for asking your questions as well. But yeah, no, this was awesome.
Hell
Absolutely.
yeah. Absolutely, brother. And before we cut you loose, of course, officially, please let everybody know where you can be found.
You can find me on. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just Colin Burgeson. My website is www.colinburgesonmusic.com, and you'll be able to see everything I've got going on from those pages. So you just look up Colin Burgeson on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Do you have a merch store on there as well for anybody who's looking for physical copies or a t-shirt?
I do have we're still working on merchandise as far as t-shirts and stuff, but I do have on the website I do have physical copies of the album for sale as well as a digital download. So yeah, it'll be a go to the music page. There's a link to it from the home screen on the music page, so you can get it all there.
Hell
There'll be
yeah.
merch up. There should be merch up pretty soon. I'm still working on that.
Hell yeah, brother. Absolutely. Well, again, Colin, thank you so much, brother. Please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Angel or the show page if there's anything that we can do to help, even if something pops up unexpectedly or even planned and you're just like, hey, I got this gig or I got this thing and I'd really like a few minutes to talk about it. Just reach out to us. Let us know, man. We're always going to say yes.
Awesome. That sounds great. I will definitely do that, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys. You've shown so much respect to Colin and so much respect to the show. We really, really appreciate you guys. Make sure that you're following Colin on all of his socials and checking out his website. You heard him just plug those. And then, of course, when it comes to ourselves, you can follow Psycho Steve at psychostevepresents.com. You can also find him on his Instagram page as well when it comes to the real Psycho Steve on Instagram. Angel can be found at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram. He also has a personal page on Facebook as well. You can find me on Instagram at Salem.vampire. I have that same moniker name under Facebook as well, and I have a personal page as well. But more importantly, please, when it comes to the Metal Summit, make sure you guys are following the Metal Summit on both Facebook and YouTube. That's where the interviews take place. That's where you're watching Colin this evening. So definitely make sure you guys are liking, sharing, and subscribing to those pages so you always see what we're doing and who we're talking to. But if you also like to be a lot in the know with when we put out our announcements, the Instagram page is a great one to follow as well, because a lot of our initial announcements do come out there first and then they filter down to everywhere else. So please make sure that you're following us on all of our personal pages, but most importantly, the Metal Summit pages. And again, on behalf of myself, Angel, Psycho Steve, but most importantly, on behalf of Colin, we appreciate his time this evening. And you guys take care. Be good to each other. If you guys like our intro, you know it's pretty heavy. That's the only tip you're getting for next week's guest. It's definitely going to be a heavy one. I'm getting confirmation for that. We'll have guest announcement over the weekend, and we will see you guys in a week. Again, be good. Keep listening to music. Get out there and support live bands, and keep your eye out for everything that Colin's doing with not only his personal solo band, but also the band that he plays with as well, doing shows all throughout the year when he gets back from break. Take care. Be good. We'll see you guys in a week. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.